Hey guys, this is going to be Juan from OneSource.com, and this is going to be a video article for DE Ruska. Um, what this article is mainly going to be about really is, I've talked about this before, but I'm really going to stress the finer points of this, is aggressiveness on CT side on Ruska, as well as on T side is how you can adapt to playing against very aggressive teams. Some reasons why I think that it's a very good idea on this map to be aggressive is that I think if you're not aggressive, if you give them room to work with, if you give them time, if you don't really try to disrupt their stress, they're just going to pinch on you, if they're a well-timed team. It doesn't take all that much coordination to split on this site. I mean, if they can get into this position, if they can get up here, upper B, and they have guys coming out from this, I'm sorry, this is A, not B, but if they have guys coming out from this lobby area, it's really not difficult to pinch on this site because the guys are just they don't have many spots to play. They can play maybe in this site, they can play like down here, but still, these are types of spots that you're not going to get more than one kill before you die. It's just going to be like, okay, you got one, they spotted you, they're going to kill you now. Obviously another spot is this roof, but again, this is very flashable, and this is going to be one of the first spots people check. So that's why I don't like just playing extremely static, extremely passive in this set. I really like being dynamic and aggressive, as well as the A site to a little bit lesser. I'm sorry, B. I got this mixed up, but the B site to a little bit lesser extent. This site can be split very easily too. If they can get up to this point, I'm shooting it right now, and they get up to this canyon. If you don't spot it. And you only have 2 or 3 guys in this area, and they can pinch you from vents too. So they're very easy areas to pinch on. They can just flash up here into the site, walk all the way into the site, whatever. It's very easy to pinch if you give them time and room to work with. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about ways that we can not allow them to just easily work up into the site. How we can get picks early in the round and then drop back into safer setups. Basically just play the advantage. Meanwhile, early on putting us in good situations to get picks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple methods that I often use to get picks early in the round and be very aggressive. And the first way is to do this vent boost. Now, obviously you don't want to do this every round, but this is a good thing to do like every couple rounds here and there, and it makes them worried about mid a lot more early in the round. And if anything, if you still don't get any kills out of it, you're still going to waste a lot of their time and maybe disrupt their strats by forcing them to do other things. So like I showed, this requires a boost. Obviously, you have to break up at the very beginning of the round. What we generally like to do is set an AWPer and just post up at this angle, and this is almost pretty much a guaranteed kill every time. It's a very easy shot. Most of the time that a guy's coming out of this thing right here are going to strafe left to right here, and they're going to be more worried about a guy right there than a guy in the vent. So this is a very easy shot, and it's almost a guaranteed pick. So this is what I like doing, just posting up once and getting a kill and then dropping back, and that can immediately give your team a 4 vs 5 advantage. And if they don't go that way, that's still fine. You have good spotting, that nobody has gone into the red room from middle, and you may have forced them to do a different strat than they would have liked otherwise, if they knew that you're going to be in that vent. But one thing to notice, I don't think I mentioned this in my other commentaries. I did mention that vent boost, but one thing to notice is that you should combine that vent boost with more aggressiveness in the middle. Okay, and the reason for that is you can get multiple picks. You can really make them worried about that. Now, what most teams do is if they have a good offer, with a good spawn, he'll hop out here and pick down into this room, whatever. Now, this is okay, but I don't think it's the greatest because what a lot of teams will do is they'll get up right here, they'll post an AWPer, and just wait for that. And a lot of times, if he can get there before you, it's going to be difficult to get that pick. So what I like to do, or have my teammates do, is get up right here and don't peek this angle all the way. Just peek a slight angle, because a lot of times what people will do is they'll come up right here, they'll see nobody's pushing, and then they'll come over here towards red room. And if they keep running that direction, they open themselves up to an angle like this. So in addition, in addition to that, if you combine that with the vent guys, if 2 guys are running out towards here, one gets killed by the vent guy, the other guy's going to try to come out here and trade with him and kill the rotator, the guy in the vent, before he rotates back. So, you know, if you have another guy right here posted up at just like a goofy angle like this, you guys can easily get a 3 versus 5 advantage, you know, 15 seconds in the round, just by smartly placing your ops right here. And this guy doesn't have to be overly aggressive too. All he has to do is just, in fact, it's probably better that he's not, is just that he picks like this angle. And, you know, also, if you get up close to here, you could block flashes, too. So, you know, I'm going to show a little technique later on as a terrorist. But if you're playing close like this, you can just block flashes. Then as soon as the flash pops, you peek out and kill the guy running over. So that's definitely a great thing to do. And it is very difficult to stop. You know, and thinking at it from a T-side perspective, you know, in a lot of cases, I don't know if a team was doing this even over and over, you know, I can't think of many things to do to counter it. You know, all I can think of is just go a different way, but maybe rush another area since they're playing heavy on middle. But again, it's hard to predict when that's coming because you never know, you know, when they're going to do it. So that is a great thing to do as a CT side. But I'm going to talk about a couple more pushes here. That's obviously not the only thing you want to do. You want to switch up your aggressiveness so that teams cannot easily counter you. So what I'm talking about here is like a delay push into this lobby here at A. Now, a lot of teams as terrorists, what they'll do is they'll come up right here. Sometimes they'll pre-nade the bottom of this ramp early in the round, but maybe they'll set up a guy like right here with an op, or maybe, you know, behind this wall. They'll wait for a couple seconds, and then when they feel it's clear, they're gonna cross over here into the lobby, start maybe taking picks into here, going up into the rafters, red room, whatever, to kind of work into their strap. So instead of rushing straight down in the lobby, you know, we obviously want to be aggressive, but instead of just rushing down here, coming down here, maybe if you have an op once in a while, doing this is good. If you have a really good spawn, just coming down here and picking. But a lot of times I think this is pretty dangerous because people will be posted up on you, nades will be flying at you in this position because obviously it's very predictable. So what I like doing instead is getting on top of here, just kind of posting up here, you know, at the very beginning of the round. Come out here, post up, wait, listen to see what I hear, and then just with another rifler or another operator, or maybe even both, maybe 3 guys pushing down in here, we walk all the way down to this ramp, maybe hesitate about 15-20 seconds after we get to our position. Allow them to kind of start working up here, and then just randomly, just really randomly, just explode out here, okay? Because obviously they're going to be in this area. And another thing to notice is you want to kind of balance it with when you think this guy is going to get into the red room. If a team rushes out mid and then comes right down in the red room and comes into here, you obviously want to do this pretty quickly. But if they don't really have much of a red room presence, you can take your time coming down here. But once you get down to this point, just explode out here. And I've done this multiple times, and it works really well. Even if a team knows it's coming, you know, if you just switch up your timing, it's very difficult to predict. And you come out here, and if you have 3 guys exploding out in this corner, and a lot of times people will just be out in the open here walking up, and at the very least you're going to get a trade in most situations. What happens most of the time for me is we come down here and then we just, you know, it's 3 versus 2, they're not ready for it, we just get 2 easy kills, 3 versus 5 advantage, and you know, it's only 25-30 seconds in the round. So that's obviously a really good push that you want to incorporate into your CT side aggressiveness. One last thing I want to talk about here on this CT side, actually I'm going to talk about 2 things quick, is if a team is not op heavy in middle, meaning that, you know, if they don't really pick the middle early on, a lot of times I think it's a good idea if one of your riflers has a really good spawn, is to get, or if they're good at bunny hopping for that matter, is to get into this like brick room right here, because if you get a guy in this area, their options are very limited until they take him out, because he can spot this catwalk with a very good angle right here. It's kind of difficult to see him, and he can just random peek this middle. The other thing he can do is crossfire this rafters here. If you have another guy pushing up into the from these halls, and you have a guy in that brick room, again, it's a very good crossfire. It's something that it's going to take a very long time for them to kind of clear, and they're not going to be able to do much until they're able to clear that, and they're going to have to use a lot of nades, waste a lot of time doing that. So again, if you feel very safe crossing here, you know, if you notice that they don't pick down into there very much, if they're not in this area, picking into your middle rather, it would be a good thing to do is to get into this brick room occasionally. You know, another time that you may want to do this is when you know that they're low money, and that you don't think they can afford ops. Just get out right here, and you know, this is just a great setup to kind of throw them off balance, keep them, you know, worried about every part of the map pretty much. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about here is a push at the canyon. Again, I like doing these more so mid-round, but this can also be done at the beginning of the round. So I don't see this all too often, but I like the idea of a push right up through here because I think this area is very flashable, and you can just pretty much just rush this non-stop at the very beginning of the round. So if you kind of if you have a pretty decent spawn with maybe another rifler here, it doesn't always have to be a rifler, but I think 2 riflers would work best. Is if you just get up here, throw 1 flash over this box here, and then you have 2 guys just storming up here, and what this does is it allows you to clear the canyon right away if there's nothing there, and it'll also allow you to spot it like early on and get entry kills. So, you know, if you come up here with another teammate, you guys get 1 kill or trade or whatever, you can clear that off right away and then rotate heavy over towards B, or you could begin towards A, or you could begin flanking towards the red room there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and talk about some things you can do on the T side to kind of alleviate pressure put on by pushes from the other team. If a team kind of knows pushes like these that they can do early in the round, like I said, it can be very difficult to defend against. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple things that you can do to kind of prepare yourself for those pushes, get into position early, and really defend against these and stop aggressiveness. So I think the most basic thing and something that always has to be done is whenever you're taking control middle, you have to have your best spawner come out, take a wide angle right here, get out onto this right side here, flash deep off this fence, and make a flash land like right in this area right here. So that way, if you are crossing into red room right here, that a guy you know, playing a goofy angle like I said before, that he will be flashed. Okay, if you don't use that flash, you're gonna get picked a lot here, and obviously you don't want to be at a 4 vs 5 disadvantage to start off the round. So again, this flash is crucial to get this off. Now, what you want to do, in addition to that, is always have one of your oppers right here posting up early in the round. You don't want to allow people to get into the connector. Like I said before, you know, if a team doesn't op mid, you know, get into connector. So you always want to be conscious of that. Allowing them to get into that connector, brick room, whatever you want to call it, is a big advantage for them. So you in almost all cases, if you can only afford 1 op, set them up right here at the very beginning of the round. Get them posted. This is certainly the most efficient use of your opper. So once you get into the red room here, now this is kind of to defend against lobby pushes, what I was talking about earlier. You want to get into the red room quickly. The only kind of drawback to pushing down into the lobby as CTs is that, you know, once you get up to this point, you're kind of open to guys in the red room because you're really not looking at direction. They have kind of a height advantage on you, and they can pretty much just bank a flash from the red room down into this area, and you're going to get blind. So as a terrorist, you always want to be getting into this red room quickly. So that means you get out here, and I like to send 2, maybe even 3 guys down into this rafters early. Now you get out right here, you can clear these rafter pushes, you can clear the lobby, and this is pretty much essential to holding this whole area. So I think this is definitely a key, and you want to be able to get guys into this area early on. One last thing that I want to talk about here as a terrorist against aggressive teams is that you want to be looking to use the vents a lot of the time. Okay, now the reason for this, I'm gonna explain first off why we're gonna do that, and then I'm gonna explain kind of a couple concepts, couple strats that I like to use with those vents. So when you're playing aggressive as CT, generally that involves pushes with like multiple guys pushing one area, either canyon like I talked about earlier, lobby, or you know, sometimes mid, sometimes these upper A halls. Generally that involves multiple guys, and where that extra guy comes from usually is the guy that usually covers the vent. So, you know, a standard setup would be like 2A, 2B, and then 1 like rotator who covers the vent, and you know, obviously rotates between the 2 of them. And usually what the rotator will do early in the round is help hold off rushes, or push to his spot. So a lot of times very early in the round, the rotator isn't there watching the vent. So that's why I like, against a very aggressive team is at the very beginning of the round, do your flash, quick peek this vent, make sure there's nothing in there, and once you get to that point here, just rush straight into the vent, okay? And just keep going, get there as quickly as possible. I'm not exactly sure the timing on this. I will do this in real time, but you could probably get there within. If round time starts at 120, you can probably get there at 1 minute. We're going to see here in a second. So this guy had a really good spawn. He's going to come out right here. He's going to bank a flash off this fence. Flash pops. He peeks out, checks the vent, sees that it's not broken. Then he jumps down here, gets into the vent. See, now it's down to 1 minute here. I'm going to get into here at pop the vent at 58 seconds. Okay, so I'm down into their spawn at 58 seconds. By that time, there may still be a guy in A. He could be rotating back here, but you're going to cause a lot of confusion once you get down here. So at 58 seconds, you'll be able to get in their spawn. You can either flank the stairs. You can pretty much do whatever. I mean, this guy can go A, can go B, go up the ramp here. He's pretty much just going to cause havoc in their setup and cause a lot of rotations and confusion to happen. So that's one reason why I really like rushing the vent. Now the other reason is that something that people haven't really thought about is when you rush the vent and you break the vent, say at 58 seconds like I did before, that opens up options for later in the round. Say that guy goes into CT spawn, he kills one, then he dies, okay? Well, what we can do 20 seconds later is that since they're a guy down now, and the vent is already broken, we can sneak another guy into this vent. Say he got in here at 58 seconds. First guy, say this guy comes in here at 40 seconds, okay? Now he's in here, nobody knows that he's here, and probably nobody's covering it because they're only down to 4 guys. They're not going to dedicate a guy to watching the vent now, and they can't tell that the vent is, that I'm coming because the vent is already broken. So, it's kind of like a baiting concept where you send one guy out, he does all the work, and then another guy, he comes out, and they're not really going to know what's going on. And so just the very basic use of the vents can open up a lot of holes on the defense. So, and what I like to do around a strat like that is sending one vent early in the round, sending another vent, 20 seconds later, is surround, have guys spread out throughout the rest of the map. So that's 2 guys obviously used on the vent. So you may want to have one guy middle, maybe one guy red room, and one guy at the canyon, and just whenever, let that vent guy make the call. Say, okay, I got a guy at A, and then so the rest of your guys, group and go towards A. Simple as that, and you guys are often going to have like 3 versus 1 advantages with 30 seconds, 35 seconds left in the round, and you'll be able to get the bomb plant before they are even able to rotate. So, that's a strat I really like to use. I encourage you guys to use it, and that's pretty much going to be it for this video article. Again, I encourage feedback. If you guys have any other ideas about aggressive pushes you would like to talk about on Ruska, help each other out on the forums, obviously. So, yeah, that's going to be it. We'll see you guys next time.